She's accused of murdering her husband 4 nights ago, I guess, who was found strangled to death in bed by a rope. And that's what we got. That's what we're here to decide today. Tomorrow when we come in, the jury will present their findings, their conclusions, the verdict, and explain how they reached it. And then if there is any sentencing, they will issue that and then explain the rationale behind it. So that's y'all's responsibility for tomorrow, okay? All right.
Whenever like peace points to the same conclusion, it's going to become proof, and that person can find us guilty. Also, I don't think that the whole idea. So we know from the book that she never like physically got hit or like hit by him or just like got like we know she got like mentally abused, but I don't think that's justifiable to kill somebody. Like people go through hardships all the time, but killing like taking somebody's life over just being isolated, I think that's too much, and I think that she should still be fined for that.
I want to say that a lot of people go through mental abuse. Yes, it was not physical. We have no proof all of it was physical. Even if it was just mental abuse, she could have divorced him. She could have chosen another option. But instead, she chose to kill him, which many people go through mental abuse and don't choose to kill. And the law says, like, self-defense requires an urgent threat. There was no urgent threat. He was sleeping. So this was not urgent. It was a deliberate act against someone who is completely unconscious.
Well, I think when Miss Hale says that, like, he killed her singing, I think that's, like, I don't know, I feel like that could be interpreted as, like, kind of abuse, like, taking something you love and, like, not letting you do it, I guess.
I mean, she's also emotional.
Yeah, I think, yeah.
That doesn't always mean
Yes.
physical abuse. He silenced her singing. He wanted her to stay quiet. He didn't let her express herself or, you know, just live like a person. He kept her concealed. He kept her in a box, and eventually that's going to drive someone mad. But if you can't fully be yourself, that would take a pretty big emotional toll on you.
Okay.
So that would count as some kind of emotional abuse.
Her husband being a bad person doesn't mean that because he died, she did it.
But
I was just gonna say that, like, in a court of law, like what Darby was talking about, speculation isn't just enough. Like, if there's reasonable doubt, and there's definitely plenty in this, in this trial, there's definitely a lot to be like, oh, it could have been someone so completely different. If there's reasonable doubt, you must find Ms. Wright not guilty until she's proven guilty. You can't, speculation just isn't enough to put her in jail for the rest of her life, or even a life sentence. There's just not enough evidence. Yes, there is some evidence, but how can you say that someone didn't come in and frame her? How can you say someone didn't come in and just put that there because they knew that she was there by herself with him all the time? And whenever they found they came in to talk about the telephone, the men did, and they found out that he died, and she was in shock.
House talk, and then she still like negated those. She was like, no, those aren't true. No, he didn't do that. And then she also attended his funeral, and like, why would she go to the funeral if she murdered him? And then she also got arrested.
Tie that in with the case that we're actually trying, though. That's why. So this precedent is connected in what way?
Because they think that Miss Wright was so like angered by this bird that she wanted to murder her husband because of that. But
so what do we have then to indicate that there may not have been as much anger as they're claiming?
You also don't know if she wanted kids or not. Nowhere is it stated that she wanted kids, so we don't know that. She could have also wanted to be more isolated and away from people.
Instead, where do we hear that from in the story?
We hear that from Mrs. Hale and Miss Peters. They assume, like, she could have gone insane because the lack of kids being by herself, but we don't know if that truly was something she wanted.
And if there's any sentencing, let us know that.
Okay.
All right.
We think that she's guilty.
Okay.
because I feel like the prosecution they had more evidence to back up the argument.
Okay.
And I feel like they came with more like, they were able to challenge the defense's arguments, with stronger evidence than, defense was more like circumstantial, I felt like.
Okay.
Like, what if this happened, this could have happened, this could have happened, they had more concrete evidence.
Were there specific pieces of evidence that stood out to y'all?
Hang on, there was. Oh, I thought it was like, the way that home was positioned was a perfect opportunity for abuse, or would have been a perfect opportunity for abuse. But, like, that doesn't necessarily mean that there was abuse. You know what I mean?